All right, so new character ideas.
Is it the same constraints as the original characters?
So go ahead and make Constitution saving throw, all 5 of you.
I'm going to be playing as Ferocity.
My new character is a warlock whose patron is Adrex.
Nice. I got to step up my game.
Birdie made it 19.
Okay.
That's a 14 for me.
Raazu made a 13.
I should be good at these. That is a 14.
How did Red
It's a
do?
15. Yes. 15.
And Wendy got a 19?
14 from Wendy.
Birdie got a 19.
Yeah.
Birdie, you come to in a circular chamber, about 20 feet across and dome-shaped. And surrounding the circle, you see little alcoves. You're hacking and coughing up this ash out of your throat, and you see a thin layer of ash covers all the surfaces of this room. There's illumination coming from the center of this circular chamber, from a fountain of water, and above the fountain you see is hanging a light mist. Your 4 companions are laying in other areas around the fountain, still unconscious. In the eastern wall, on the northern wall of this chamber is an enormous stone slab blocking the passage. And looking at the slab, you see carvings covering the entire surface of it that look somewhat similar to the 2 circles in the room that you were just previously in. These carvings, however, are moving. They're swirling around the stone, kind of moving randomly, building patterns and then scattering apart again. There's a small dais sitting on the eastern wall with ghostly figures floating in it. The largest of them is a small humanoid figure, a little bit smaller than you probably, that looks like it's made of some kind of silver mercurial material. It looks like it's in pain. And periodically you see growths appear on the surface that don't seem to cause it any harm. And looking more closely, you see the growths take shape. Sometimes it takes the form of like a sprouting tree. Sometimes the skin parts and gives way to a mountain range. Sometimes the surface splits open and takes the form of a river or a lake. Hovering above this figure, you see 4 humanoid hands ending in clawed fingernails. The first of these looks like it's made of smoke or dark mist, and it has chains dangling from it. The second looks like it's made of smooth ivory, and it has gilded nails, and floating above it is a halo of bright radiance. The third claw is scaled with tufts of dark fur, and the nails are dripping with blood. And the last claw is a pale green in color, with nails of kind of psychedelic, oscillating colors, and it's wreathed in flowers. Periodically, one of the growths will appear on this mercurial creature, like a tree will sprout or a river will open, and as soon as this happens, one of the claws slashes down at it, and the thing recoils in pain, and the growth vanishes. The room is illuminated from inside of the fountain in the center. That's what you get.
So this ethereal thing is above the fountain?
No, the fountain's in the center of the room. Uh-huh. The creature and the 4 claws are on a standing dais on the eastern alcove. There are several other empty alcoves around the perimeter of the room, and the north wall is the large stone slab with shifting carvings.
Okay. You said there's alcoves on the east and west. Is there anything in the western alcove?
There are. Just doing a quick scan of the room. There are 7 alcoves total in the east, west, south walls, and then in the 4 diagonal directions. All of them are empty except for the eastern one.
Okay.
It just kind of gives the room a strange shape, but it's mostly circular other than that.
All right. So I'm going to wait for everybody else to wake up. I'm going to go check on the nearest person to me.
And you step over to Raazu, and she's laying on the ground, still unconscious from the fall. You don't seem to have suffered any more injury other than the scratchy throat. After a few more moments, Adrex comes to, similarly hacking up the ash in his throat and seeing the same scene.
And Adrex gets immediately to trying to wake his companions.
And Adrex goes around and shakes the other three of you awake in a couple of moments.
Hack, 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 and then she spits on the ground. Raazu looks directly up.
Looking directly up, the circular chamber is domed at the top. Looks like it only goes up maybe 15, 20 feet, so it's not extremely high. It's a little higher than the rooms you've explored previously, though. And looking at the stonework here, looks pristine. There's no mold or grime on the walls, and the smell of decay is gone.
It's round, not square shaped. That means we're not on Acheron, which means we're not dead. That's a start.
Huh.
Raazu pounds Adrex's back a little bit.
Little wisps of cold come out of his mouth.
Birdie points at the scary apparition and tries to get everybody else to look at it.
Yeah.
Which looks like this little animated mercurial doll standing on the dais that's being hassled by these 4 floating claws.
What do the claws look like? Like what? I realize you have explained them. What kind of like creature do they look like they're from, or just standard claw?
They look like they kind of don't look like anything in particular. Like you could picture all kinds of creatures that these claws or these hands might attach to. One of them is made of smoke, so it looks like a little more formless than others. One of them, the ivory-looking one, examining it, looks like it might look closer to an empty gauntlet. If you could make a gauntlet skin tight. The scaly, furry one, clearly some kind of monster. And then the green one could be just any kind of humanoid creature that has hands instead of paws. The biggest consistency between them is their fingernails all come to a sharp point. And they're slashing at this mercury doll.
Are they solid?
You don't know.
Oh, okay.
Raazu, can you do that thing where you tell us whether or not the claws or the doll should be what we are trying to protect here?
Raazu, yeah, I'll pop another divine sense trait thing.
Okay. This might be an edge case for divine sense, and I should have foreseen this, but I didn't because I'm terrible.
Red is written. 60 feet. Type celestial, fiend, or undead. And within, I can also detect whether it's been consecrated or desecrated.
I'll mark this down on the bingo sheet. Came up with a plan that Bricker didn't anticipate.
But you cannot discern the identity of Count Strahd von Zarovich.
Correct.
Okay.
So if Strahd is in here, I have no idea who he is.
No such entities exist in this room, but very notably, you're no longer standing on desecrated ground.
That's weird. We must have fallen pretty far down if I can't feel that anymore.
Also, very notably, there are no holes in the dome above you.
That's also weird.
So what's to the north then? Is that what looks like an exit, or?
It looks like an exit, but there's a huge stone slab in a way, covered in these carvings that are kind of swimming around the surface.
And can we make out if there is anything specific in any of these alcoves from where we are?
All of the alcoves are empty except the one that has the raised dais with the doll and the 4 claws.
Thought I had my iPad muted, but it wasn't. I apologize.
Nerd.
I'm gonna go look at the alcoves and see whether it looks like there was something in those alcoves previously. Like maybe this doll is the only thing that's left.
No, they all look empty.
Okay.
You don't see any debris or refuse in this dungeon. There's no bodies littering the floor. There's just a thin layer of ash on all of the surfaces, and then there's a very slight mist rising up out of the pool in the center.
I'm gonna go to the pool in the center and look down into it.
It looks crystal clear. Not particularly deep, maybe a foot or a little less, and you can see very clearly to the bottom of it.
Is the water itself, does the glow appear to be coming from the water itself or from the fountain?
It appears to be coming from the base of the fountain, the bottom of the fountain, giving the entire, all of the fluid inside a very phosphorescent quality.
Raazu reaches down.
Okay.
Oh,
No, go
Raazu
ahead.
reaches down and puts an arm down into the pool.
And it feels cool and refreshing.
I'm drinking from that pool.
Windy
Yeah, Raazu is.
and Raazu take the benefits of a long rest,
Whoa!
as this cool, refreshing water cleanses and goes down your throat, clearing the sensation of scratchiness that the ash has given you, and you feel quite rejuvenated drinking from this pool.
That's a really good pool. You guys should drink from this.
Yes.
I don't know.
Did we get? You said we don't get our hit points back on a long rest.
You do not. You spend hit dice,
Okay.
and then at the end of the long rest, you get back half of your hit dice.
Yeah. So, because the default settings on the character sheet actually do give us back.
Yeah, but you can click instead of hitting the long rest button. You can just do it manually.
To be clear, this rule was in effect all through Flumphscape. It was just trivial because you had Riot's Aura of Vitality.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'll try something.
Adrex
Sure, I'll take a drink from the pool.
and Red, you also take the benefits of a long rest.
Birdie will take
Yay.
his.
Okay, Birdie as well. And you find yourselves very much refreshed and replenished, but you're no closer to finding a way out of this room.
I'm gonna take a cup of that water
Okay?
and try bringing it over to the doll.
And do
Start
what?
like splashing a little on the doll or on the claws.
Well, which one do you do?
I'm gonna do doll first, then claws.
Okay. And you splash some water on the doll, and where you do, it comes to life with basically geographical features, mountain ranges, deserts, glaciers, all kinds of things. You see vibrant oceans, and as soon as you're done pouring and you pull your hand away, the claws go completely apeshit on it, and slashing down at this thing fiercely until all of the features are destroyed, and it's just the smooth, silvery surface of the doll. And this looks like the thing is in great pain when this is happening.
You know what? Screw these claws.
Okay.
So, what are you doing to the claws?
Oh, that wasn't a preface to me doing something immediately.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I have misled everyone.
You just don't like the claws. Got it.
Oh. It sounded like it was a preface, so.
This is weird.
And the actual water that you pour slides down onto the dais. There's just a wet spot in the alcove now.
That's fine.
So what's next?
Birdie asks, "You think we should poke it? Poke the hands, like with a sword or something?" Sound like a good idea to anybody else?
Raazu shrugs and says, "You haven't got any better ideas, really."
Okay.
Oh, okay. Go right ahead.
Birdie pulls out his short sword and he pokes the I guess the furry scaled one.
The furry scaled one?
Yeah.
And when you do, you feel slight resistance, as though you're stabbing your sword into liquid. And the place where you stab, the scaled furry claw kind of comes apart and takes on the form of just like a congealed dollop of blood floating in the air. And when you pull your sword back, the tip of it is bloodied. But as soon as you pull your sword away, the claw reforms, and it seems to have suffered no harm. When you do this, though, the mercury doll, its tiny head snaps in your direction, and it starts to reach out with one of its hands, with its fingers splayed, as though pleading with you.
Do that again. And I'm gonna pull out a cup.
Okay.
That cup I was using before. And when he makes it like jellied, I'm gonna try to steal some of that claw.
Okay.
Okay, well I stabbed the same claw.
And Wendy's going to grab the cup and try to
Try to grab some of it away.
And Wendy, when your cup comes in contact with the thing, it doesn't feel solid at all. It just feels like liquid hanging in the air. You pull the cup away, the same thing happens. The cup has a quantity of blood in it, but after contact is completed, the claw reshapes, and it looks just as large as it was before.
Can we...
Raazu steps forward, and then is the form in the center, is it still reaching out?
Yes, reaching out to Birdie and Wendy, who are trying to attack this scaled claw.
Raazu reaches out between them and tries to grab hold of the figure in the middle.
Make a dexterity saving throw.
Probably not.
No? How'd you do?
It's a 7 on die. Yeah, +0, yeah.
Okay. When you reach out with intent to take hold of the figure, the thing, lightning fast, clasps onto your hand with both of its. And it feels like your hand is caught in a vice. It has all the strength of the quicksand you just sank through. And after a few moments, you're trying to tug and get free. It lets go. But you see this silver material start to creep up your hand and up your arm. And then underneath your armor. And you can still feel the coolness of it going up to your armpit. Begin spreading across your torso.
What does that feel like? And Wendy's going to grab onto it?
Like Matrix style?
Pretty much, yeah. More like Terminator 2 liquid metal style.
Oh.
But Wendy, same thing. When you reach out and touch the thing, it starts...
well, I don't touch the thing. I'm trying to touch the silver on him.
Then same effect. You touch Raazu, and it starts spreading up your arm as well.
What the...
I'm going to put some water on it.
And the water doesn't seem to do anything to it.
Raazu just runs back over to the pool, just dunks her arm, or her silvered arm.
When you do that, the silver, more rightly mercury, because it's liquid, but
yeah,
it immediately spreads across the surface of the water and starts climbing up out of the pool on all sides. And then across the floor. Like a superfluid. Look it up on Wikipedia. They're really cool.
So I'm going to fill my water skin with the water from this refreshing pool.
It's not refreshing anymore. Now it's filled with this liquid metal.
Oh, it is all in... The entire pool is liquid metal now?
Yeah, within a few seconds.
Okay.
Raazu dunking her arm in. And Raazu, by this time, the metal's reaching up your neck and towards your mouth.
Take a deep breath and try and hold it as long as I can.
Okay.
Can I use the water in my water skin then to try and wash it off of her without touching her? Just sort of like splash it forcefully over it? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try that.
Okay, go ahead. You empty out your water skin on Raazu, and the water just slides off. And in another round or two, the metal will be creeping along the floor. Whereas everybody... I mean, Wendy's being engulfed as well.
I'm going to hold up the arm that's now covered with the silvery stuff to one of the claws.
Which one?
Probably the green one's been doing us some good. Green claw.
You can't actually touch the green claw. Every time you leap out for it, it blinks away in what looks like a tiny explosion of fireworks and reappears a few inches outside of your grasp, and then goes back to work harassing this doll.
Do they each do that?
You've only tried the green one so far.
All right, let's try the smoke one.
The smoke one is just intangible. It just your hand goes right through it, and it's like you're trying to grab smoke out of the air. And once your hand is clear, it reforms into a claw.
What if I try to block the doll with that arm that's covered in silver?
You keep. What do you mean block the doll? Like,
I mean, like, the claws are trying to jab at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get my arm in the way.
at any given time, you can probably block one or two of them, but if you try that, the other two just pick up the slack. You're never going to be able to get in between all four of them. And at this point, the metal is starting to creep out towards the back wall. So Adrex, Red, and Birdie, this is your last chance to do something before the metal starts creeping up your boots.
I mean,
are the walls anything that I might be able to climb?
Yeah, you can climb the walls. Raazu at this point is completely engulfed in this metal, and she doesn't seem to be suffering any ill effects. It just looks like her armor...
She is panicking. She is panicking, though.
It just looks like her armor is resting on a liquid metal Raazu. Red's gonna start climbing up the wall?
Yeah, Red's gonna climb up the wall.
Okay.
Climbing up the wall sounds like a good idea.
Birdie is going to do the same. Gonna climb up over here in the corner.
And at this point, it's starting to go towards Wendy's mouth.
Wendy's gonna go over to the doll and try to grab onto it again. She figures the metal's a lost cause.
Okay.
Maybe whatever the doll was trying to accomplish didn't get finished.
And watching Raazu and Wendy, you see Raazu reach back into her pack and pull something out. And you see Wendy is reaching out to the doll with one hand and reaching back to her between her wings with her other and fussing at her cloak there.
Is the metal all one continuous piece that's covering all these effectively?
Yes.
Like one continuous sheet?
Yes.
I'm going to try putting an arrow in the center of it where this pool was.
Down in the center?
Yeah.
Okay, and it pierces through the center, and you hear it splashed into the water beneath.
Do I notice what I'm doing with my other hand?
As soon as, like, you become conscious of it, but you become conscious after you've already begun doing it.
I'm gonna do it faster. Like, I'm gonna cover my whole cloak with it, and then I'm gonna billow it.
So you're billowing out the cloak?
Yeah.
And you realize you're already doing that.
I assume Raazu's going for her lucky die.
Yeah, and as you take a break from panicking, you realize you're holding your dice in your hand very tightly.
Does it seem like my cloak is soaking up the silver from my arm?
No, it's actually just on your skin, underneath your feathers.
Still just spreading.
Yeah, it doesn't... it's not coating your clothes. What it's doing is it's climbing like up your clothes and getting underneath into the skin.
Wendy's the kind of bird who would go along with the flow.
Okay.
She's like, all right, well, let's see what happens here.
Adrex,
Raazu looks at Wendy and kind of... Oh, let's go ahead.
Yes, sir.
make me a strength check since you're not a rogue. I'm going to say you have more difficulty perching up on a wall than the two rogues would.
Strength check. That's +4, 17.
Okay, so you're holding steady on this wall, but I mean it's now inching its way up the wall. It's not gonna be a permanent solution.
Well, it's not gonna stop Adrex from trying.
Okay, and after a few more moments, no matter how high you guys climb, you start getting to the domed surface, and it becomes impossible to climb any further. And at that point, the metal is going to make contact. Any last-ditch efforts?
None that I can think
Who's
of.
who's holding the torch? No one's holding a torch, huh?
The
Where's the
torch,
light
I'm
coming
assuming,
from?
went out when it got engulfed with
Is there anything on the ceiling I could loop a rope around?
No, it looks like a smooth domed ceiling.
Okay.
Is there a light source?
Wendy's torch did go out, but the room is illuminated from the pool. The light's still shining up through
pool.
this metallic surface.
It's very convenient.
No, I don't have any other actions. I'll slide down the wall into the stuff so I don't fall in case I stop climbing it once it starts wrapping around me.
And it quickly wraps up your boot, and you feel the coolness of it as it goes down your legs and starts eating you from the feet up.
All right, let's. Sure.
And in a few more moments, without realizing it, Red, you realize you're holding your horn to your face and blowing it. Adrex is holding his wand in his hand, twirling it back and forth on his fingers. And Birdie is clutching his cloak very tightly around him. And it begins to feel very warm. And then, all of a sudden, the metal evaporates. The room goes completely dark. The light goes out. And you hear a splashing sound from the direction of the alcove where the mannequin was. And all of you feel warmth in the part of your body which was coming in contact with your magic item.
You look down at the die in my hand.
Raazu. The place in the palm of your hand where you were tightly clutching your die, you see this mark burned into the palm. There's no pain, but a lot of warmth. I don't know if hobgoblins have furry palms, but if they do, the fur in that area has been singed away. Wendy can't see hers because it's on her back, in between her wings, where the weight of her cloak would sit. She has this mark. Adrex, you notice marks all across your fingers on your right hand, and when you hold them all together, they make this design. Birdie, yours is on your chest, just under your chin, where you were clutching your cloak very tightly. Looks like this. And Red, yours is across your lips, where you were blowing your horn. Open up the spellcasting tab on your character sheet.
I don't have one.
You should make one.
I don't think I can. I'm not a spellcaster.
We'll have to find some other solution then.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to add one cantrip to your repertoire. You can use cantrips a number of times per short rest, equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum 1.
All right.
I think all of you can do one, except Birdie, who has a pretty outrageous intelligence.
And does it have to be from class spell lists where they exist?
There's no such thing as class spell lists.
So just any cantrip.
No, I'm going to give you a cantrip.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Your spellcasting modifier is intelligence across the board, all 5 of you. Raazu,
0. Cool.
holding your dice and its ability to alter luck grants you the ability to use the True Strike cantrip.
Okay.
Wendy, your billowing cloak gives you the ability to use the Gust cantrip.
Alright.
Adrex, your wand of pyrotechnics gives you the ability to use the Dancing Lights cantrip. Birdie, your cloak of changing fashions, or whatever it's called, its shape-shifting and material-changing properties allow you to use the Minor Illusion cantrip. And in what might be my most regretted sentence in this campaign, Red, your Horn of Warning grants you the Message cantrip.
Oh, you can't ever get away from.
So, spellcasting ability score is intelligence for everybody. And you assume that every cantrip that you have requires verbal and somatic components. And it also requires a spell focus, which is your chosen item.
So here's a problem. We're gonna have to finagle things a little bit because True Strike isn't on my spell list.
So what we're going to do is that you can make magic items that grant you the ability to have spells. So we're essentially just going to copy Cloak of Billowing for me and then add the ability to cast a spell from it.
We're not going to do that. What we're going to do,
okay.
since this awesome futuristic D&D character sheet doesn't allow people to customize it, apparently. Just make maybe a section of the party loot sheet keeping track of what spells everybody has.
I was putting in notes and under other.
I'm keeping track in my paperwork as well. And so after a few minutes, you guys have realized what has happened. Who strikes a light, first of all? Is anybody but Birdie able to use their cantrip more than once?
I'm going to strike a light.
Okay. And having done so, the room suddenly looks much, much older than it was. And that smell of mildewy decay has resumed. You see the fountain in front of you is now empty, devoid of water. And the dais where the small mannequin and the claws once stood is now gone. The stone slab is still in place with the carvings on it.
Are the carvings still moving?
Yes.
Okay.
Adrex is looking at his hand and like separating his fingers and then putting them back together and then.
Okay, that happens.
They're like knuckle tattoos.
Essentially, yeah. It says love on one side and hate on the other.
Raazu looks down at her hand and then looks around at his surroundings and then decides to turn on the divine sense once more.
Are you able to do that twice? Oh, you drank from the fountain. You got it back.
I get that back on long rest. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, you turn it on and you are once again standing on desecrated ground, and you feel a great multitude of undead creatures beneath your feet.
We need to find a way out of here very quickly. We'll have to ruminate on what just happened when we're not in very real danger.
What's the floor like at this point?
It's a stone floor, like previously. Just a minute ago when the room was lit, it looked like it was in pristine condition, and now it looks just like the rest of the temple that you've hiked through.
Well, I think we should try and push on the stone and get out.
You said that the presence of undead was beneath, not along the wall.
You feel a large number of them, yeah, beneath your feet, kind of all the way out to the radius of your divine sense. I think it's 30 feet or 60 feet or something like that.
60 feet. But along the walls, yes, no?
Along the walls? No, the walls themselves seem fine.
Okay.
Through several of the walls, like on the opposite side of them, you sense more creatures, but the multitude of them are beneath the floor.
I'm going to start searching through these alcoves for hidden doors or passages.
Yeah.
Okay, make an intelligence investigation check. Both of you make it individually, unless you're searching together. Then one of you make it at advantage.
Yeah, you make it an advantage, Destil.
Okay.
Because this is your wheelhouse, not mine.
That would be an 11.
The place looks like it's ancient, but it looks like it's in better shape structurally than the compound above you. That said, you don't find any loose tiles, you don't find any mechanisms, there's nothing that would open or swing or slide away. Notably, though, when you cross around to the eastern side of the room, there is still a wet spot on the dais where Wendy poured out her cup of water.
Is the dais like a solid piece on the ground? Is it attached to the ground? Or
it's essentially a raised part of the floor that has a couple of steps going up to it. And then it takes up the entirety of that alcove on the eastern wall.
Okay. Birdie's going to go to the side of the slab and try and push it.
Okay? And as soon as you make contact with the slab, you feel the marking on your chest grow slightly warm. And parts of the carving swirl around above where your hand is making contact. And they come together to form your mark.
But it doesn't move.
Doesn't move, no.
I think this might be a... We might all need to touch it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's go. Let's go touch that
Alright.
rock.
Sounds like a good idea.
The same thing happens when the other four of you put your hands to the slab. The carvings swirl and shift in such a way that your marks are there. And once all five have in place, they illuminate slightly. And then you start hearing the sound of grinding stone as the slab starts sliding into the wall.
I'm a little disappointed we didn't summon Captain Planet.
Give it time.
And it opens up into essentially a weird series of hallways on the other side. After about 30 seconds, the slab has grinded its way all the way into the side of the wall.
Okay.
Who's got the light?
I do.
All right. Take point as I start walking through.
And as you step forward, you start hearing the sounds, the telltale sounds of moaning and groaning of the dead before you. This is actually a little bit unsettling because the lizard men zombies you were fighting were not making sounds unless you attacked them. And as you step forward with the light at your back, you see it open up into 4 hallways, 2 on each side of this central square pillar. You know there are 4 hallways because it's marked number 4.
Does this actually indicate anything that we can see?
Yeah, Raazu is going to start
It
looking
does.
down the side, one of these hallways.
Going up there, you see a large part where there was a floor tile that has crumbled away, and looking down in it, you see a mass of zombies, humans mostly, but some other demi-human creatures as well. What you would call southlings. Notably, there are no lizard men, no centaurs, no orcs, no goblins, nothing like that. And Red, you see the same thing, looking down into that pit. The pit itself is only about 5 or 6 feet across. You probably could jump it with no problem. You might also be able to shimmy along the wall if you're super careful. And the pit is deep enough that the zombies, even though they notice your presence and begin reaching up towards you, cannot reach or climb out.
Say, jump it and clear it.
Well, hold on. Let's pour... I have another thing of oil. Let's pour it on the zombies.
I'm right there with you, yes.
Let's set fire to the zombies and watch them.
Okay, where are you doing this from?
I'm going to dump out mine on this guy, and then I'm going to drop a torch in there.
Okay, and there's a very loud whooshing sound as you dump the oil down, and the oil becomes set ablaze. And the zombie starts bumping into other zombies. Then after a few seconds, Raazu, in your pit, you see some of your zombies start to take fire. After a few more moments, Red, in the northern part of the pit, you see your zombies start to set alight. Before long, there are God knows how many zombies cooking down in the floors below.
It must not smell very good down there.
No, not at
No,
all.
but our
doesn't
EXP
smell like-
is going to be incredible. I hop over this pit.
Okay.
I want to see what's going on down here.
Yeah, I'm gonna clear this pit.
Come to the end of the hallway, and there's a door at the end. It looks like there's a mechanism to open it on the wall just to the left of it. And it's the same situation for the doors that Red and Raazu are at.
I'll activate the mechanism.
Yep.
You do. Both of you do?
Yep.
Okay. Do you, Raazu?
Yeah.
And all 3 of you activate the mechanism. The doors in front of you open up, and you start hearing a hissing and sizzling sound behind you as you realize somewhere you started to release water into the pits, and a great amount of steam starts rising up out.
Move.
Well, that ship
Quickly.
has sailed. I think those zombies were planning on swimming out, but that's a little late for them.
take a look down this passage.
Okay, you see a hallway down this way, and in this part of the area, looks like it's fallen away. Looks like damage has been done, and there's a natural cavern behind it.
When we go take a look around this corner.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my torch and look a little further down this tunnel.
Okay, and the hallway continues.
With my dark vision, what do I see?
Raazu, you see a creature. There's a cavern here, widening out into a small pond. No deeper than a puddle, maybe a couple of inches. And in the center of the pond, as you approach, a humanoid stands up. Just takes the shape of a medium-sized humanoid. Could be any number of things. And it seems to have noticed you and is starting to move towards you.
Raazu readies her weapon, says, "Hello?" in Hobgoblin.
In Hobgoblin. And when you say that out, the thing stops. And responds in what to your ears sounds like a very, very antiquated common. Like a form of common. Like it sounds like Shakespearean English to your ears.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "I'm sorry?" As though it didn't understand what you said.
Raazu switches to common. "Hello, who are you?"
And at this point, you realize that the thing you're looking at, now that it's come closer to you, it's now standing at the edge of the pond here, is a man. And you can see through him. He has a transparency to him. He responds that his name is Norin.
Norin.
And that he is delightfully surprised to see company in the tunnels. What are you guys doing up in that hallway?
I'm hearing.
Do we hear
noises
this
coming
conversation?
Yeah, you guys can hear the conversation behind you.
So I'm saying we leave that for now. Go back and check on what's going on down here.
I think they've got that well in hand. I'm gonna move until the tunnel reaches the end of my dark vision, so I can see the end of it in my dark vision.
You see it widen into a room at the end of the hallway.
Okay, that's good enough.
Adrex is following the torch, so...
Raazu looks at the very clearly translucent dead.
She says, "What?"
Now, when you say a man, you mean a human, Brick?
Yes, a human.
He is actually human?
Yes.
Are you dead?
And he looks down at his hands quizzically for a moment and then back up at you. And says that he has the suspicion that he is.
How did you come to be here, Mr. Norin?
He says that he was an adventurer in his day. And he gives you the name of a village, which I don't know because my NPC list is not on my screen.
Middling Hedgehog Crossing.
He tells you that he and his lover were from the small village of Shrance. And they set out, had many wonderful adventures together. But he became cursed, his lover. And they decided to return to their hometown where they could receive healing at the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he succumbed to his wounds. He succumbed to the curse. And murdered Norin before they were able to reach the holy fountain.
Relevant question then. Just you sticking around here, or murderous, cursed, undead?
He says that he suspects that Dylan is still in the compound as well, unless he's been destroyed.
Well, that's less than ideal.
And he starts asking questions from whence you come.
No offense, but...
I have to know what Red's doing down here.
I'm just gonna move to here and hide and see if I can see anything further down there.
Do you have a light source or anything?
I have dark vision.
Right, but you're not carrying a light source. Like no.
Oh no, I'm not
Okay.
carrying anything that would give away my position.
Go ahead and make a hide check.
The first rule of hiding.
We don't talk about hiding.
Right, that's a 5, I believe. 7.
Okay, you think you're hiding real good.
No offense, but no good ever came of one of our types telling a human adventurer where our hometown is.
Windy or
Agreed.
Raazu? First of all, none of you guys have ever heard of a village called Shrance, ever in your life. The two of you, I will let you make either separate insight checks, or one of you can make an insight check at advantage as you're conversing with Norin.
I'll make mine. If you want me to make it an advantage, I'll do so. Otherwise, I'll do it separate.
What's your bonus?
Insight, it's +6.
Probably better than mine. Yeah, you do that at advantage.
You got it.
I have a +1, so
20.
20. As you're conversing with Norin, he gives no... You're used to the few humans you've come across in your day very sparingly. Treat all of you as monsters. You guys are like weird goblin and dragon people. It's disgusting. Norin is giving no outward signs of that whatsoever, and you begin to suspect that he's not seeing what you are.
Rad.
Raazu holds... Oh, good.
Now, when you said cursed, you didn't touch a mercurial doll and then covered in mercury and then be able to cast spells, did you? That's not the curse, is it?
He said in life he was able to cast many spells. He was a gifted sorcerer.
Raazu holds up her hand, palm outward, face. Do you know what? You ever seen this symbol before?
Answering Adrex's question real quick about the doll and Mercury, he gives no sign that he knows what you're talking about at all. Raazu, you hold up your hand, and he looks at it. He says he doesn't see a symbol. He's not sure what he's supposed to be looking at. He says maybe if you remove your mailed glove.
Raazu, of course. So pulls the mail off.
Are you actually wearing mail?
Chainmail, yeah.
Okay, you pull the mailed glove off, and then he asks why you haven't removed your glove yet.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
The gauntlet that we saw in the oppressed room with the ivory claw in it,
Yeah,
that was made of ivory. It wasn't like mail.
correct. It was
Okay.
a smooth surface. As Birdie comes around the corner and Norin cranes his head, you see a look of shock on his face. And he asks, he exhibits surprise that you guys would have brought such a small child along with you on your excursion into what now appears to be the ruined temple.
For one, he's not a child, and for two, he's very capable.
I have a question.
Sure.
For the gentleman, or the ghostly gentleman. So, you said you were going to a village. How far away from your current location do you think the village was? Like, how far were you from getting home? How many days?
He indicates directly above you that the temple sat at the center of the village. He names the god as Eisenbard, which is a god none of you have ever heard of in your life. You're used to strange tales of Southlings and their weird dead gods. And Raazu used to worship a dead god, but that's typically not the practice. But none of you have heard the name Eisenbard before. No, he says that Eisenbard had a great healing temple here, and his clerics would frequently visit and perform miracles. And they were hoping to do as such for Dylan.
That would explain the pill. That would explain the. That would explain that pool back there, I guess. Raazu pulls the glove off, so she got bare hand.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a bare hand to it, and presents it again.
And he doesn't notice that you've removed your glove. He thinks you're still wearing it. He's clearly not seeing what you're seeing.
As it lets out
can
a
I
sigh.
see anything down this hallway?
Looking
After
into this
sneaking
room?
to the corner?
No, just looks like an empty room. You have no idea what you're hiding from. Or, I mean, you rolled a 7. You have no idea what you're not successfully hiding from.
Right. There's no is there a wall on the southern edge?
There's an open doorway.
Oh, okay.
I think it's right here. That opens up, continues to the south.
So, are you
Yeah, that
stuck
was a
in this
place
room, or like, is there like, do you have to be close to something?
He tells you that for a time he was able to travel wherever the water would go, but that over the years, the water has receded more and more.
Well, I've got good news for you.
Yeah, you still hear the sound of pouring water behind you.
I'm gonna
Raazu-
go down there and try to grab a cup of the water. Say, hey, see if you can come with me.
Just one cup at a time, make him a path.
And you do so, but he still does not leave the edge of the pond. But you manage to get a cup of water. To your eyes, it doesn't look very appetizing.
Yeah.
Looks just like
Kinda brackish.
yeah, murky, brackish water that's just been standing still here in this temple for who knows how long.
Raazu reaches down and puts her bare arm through the down into the water.
Okay, and it's only a couple inches deep.
Pulls her arm back, shakes it off, says, "Well, friend, I don't know what to do that would set you free from this tortured life that you have now, but tortured unlife. Excuse me for being insensitive."
He apologizes and says he assumed that you all had come here to destroy Dylan, who at this point is an undead creature.
Oh, I mean, we'll probably get to that.
What does Dylan look like?
Yeah, what is it? What do they look like?
And he begins to describe a very beautiful human male. He describes
but, like-
his lover as he knew him in life.
But like post horrible undeath.
And again, you get the sense that he's actually never seen Dylan in Undeath. He's been in his ghostly form. Red comes barreling back down the hallway.
What cursed your lover?
He tells a story about touching a cursed artifact in some in a mountain range, and I have a direction and a somewhat distance for you, but I don't have my world map open.
Look at us asking all the wrong questions.
You're asking all the right questions. I'm just not prepared. About 2 days' ride to the north, and you all know that there are no mountains in that location. If you rode 2 days north, you would be entering the vast forests of the Fae. He tells you that he and Dylan, on their journey back home, took precautions just in case Dylan's transformation completed beforehand. They procured a small cache of silvered weapons. But just before Norin was killed, he saw Dylan discard those weapons nearby.
Whereabouts?
And he indicates the zombie pits that you all lit on fire.
It's fine. Silver has a very high melting point.
Which at this point, I mean, they're not on fire anymore. The water has extinguished the zombie corpses.
Well, then that's very good information. Thank you.
And Red,
Thank
as you
Norin.
come back around the hallway, you see water start to seep slightly up through this doorway.
Through these doors?
Yes. Not this one, because nobody
Okay.
opened this one, but this one, and this one.
Looking into there, are there zombies floating in the water?
There are, but they're not moving. They look like they're severely burned in many, many pieces and quite dead.
Say,
5 to Birdie.
I'll say to Red, our ghostly friend back there says that there's a cache of silvered weapons and that there might be his companion, also undead, somewhere about.
I'll
I have one more question for the ghostly gentleman.
Sure.
Where do you know where you fell? Is this cave right here where you met your end?
He indicates this area that the rest of the party is standing in, because he describes the 4 doors leading into the inner sanctum of the temple. This is how he knows that Dylan discarded the weapons into one of the pits.
I am going to hand Raazu my pack, including my weapon, my bow, and then I'm going to come over here and duck my head under the water and see what I can see underneath.
What % chance would you say there's still a living zombie down there under the water?
Like
100.
50-50. Either there will be or there won't.
I like the way you think. Make me an... You got dark vision.
Yeah.
Make me an intelligence investigation check.
14?
14. It takes you a couple minutes, and this is the most disgusting water you've ever submerged yourself in. And you've been to, like, swampy Yuan-ti temples, so that's saying something. But you eventually do find a pretty severely burned and waterlogged wrap of cloth containing some amount of items.
I'll fish it out. Is the water still rising by the time I'm done with this?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is there an obvious way to close the switch from the other side?
There is not.
Alright. When do you get through?
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to hit the switch and duck under as fast as I can.
Okay, make a dex check.
Did he fish the items out?
Yeah, he's got them.
17.
17. So you grab the lever and throw yourself through the door. There's still 2 open doors down here.
Birdie.
I'll hand Raazu the gear.
Yeah.
Why don't we tie a rope to one of them and pull it from to safe? Then we'd lose a little bit of rope, but
I mean, if it fails, you just open it back up and go under again. Just jump back.
oh, good point. Unless you get crushed, but
And I'm already doing it before I even really explain that.
Okay.
Second dex check is a 9.
A 9. How'd Birdie do?
I haven't rolled yet. Okay, let's see. 15.
Birdie, you've got to jump up and grab the switch on the wall, but you slip through no problem. Red, as you're diving through, you're a little too slow. The door closes on your foot for a second, painfully, before you wrench it free. Take 2 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
Raazu, opening up this cache in your hands, the most substantial item inside is a small flask of oil. It has a whitish color and a slightly sandy texture to it. Also are 2 silver daggers and 6 silver arrowheads.
Brick, I have an out-of-character question real quick.
I like those.
Would we, like, if we shot a silver arrowhead, right,
Mm-hmm.
and it broke, could we repair it?
No, it has the same chance of being lost as any other arrows.
So it's the silver arrowhead itself that breaks. Okay.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay.
That
No,
sounds like
that's fine.
that sounds
I
like
was
too
just-
much.
I just wanted to
bookkeeping.
make sure.
If we have a free moment, then perhaps Birdie and Red could modify their arrows, put these silver arrowheads on them.
So just to put a clutch rule in place, if you are proficient with any sort of standard bow, either a short bow or a long bow, I'll say you can fletch your own arrows, and I'll just throw together like a long rest action you can do to determine how many you can make. I'd have to do a little bit of research though.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll do that. Because I was thinking you're not going to have a chance to really buy arrows from anywhere.
So 6 silver arrowheads, and what was the actual
2
weapon?
daggers and a flask.
Two
And the
daggers.
flask that was white and like
Has a, as you slosh it back and forth, has kind of a sandy texture to it.
okay.
I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is oil A.
Oil A is correct.
All right.
Oil A.
Oil.
So
How
who's
should we-
taking what out of this cache?
so you said there's 6 arrowheads.
6 arrowheads, 2 daggers.
Uh,
I'll
So-
take a dagger, but you can have all the arrowheads.
okay. So I'll take all 6 arrows.
So-
Disagree.
Okay,
I'll take 3, and you can take 3.
that's fine.
Yeah.
In practice, you're not actually adding arrows to your sheet. Just turn 3 of your arrows to silver arrows.
Okay.
Because you're essentially removing the flint or whatever you have tip of the arrow and applying the silver one instead and rebinding it.
I think you're the only other one who uses daggers, buddy. You might as well take both.
Sure, I'll take both daggers.
Okay. You take both silver daggers. Who takes the oil?
I think the party arsonist should take the oil.
I mean, here's the problem: is I think by this point we've got 2 of those.
To be clear,
Here's
this isn't like a flask of oil that you light. This is a magical oil you can apply to a weapon.
Adrex doesn't care about the difference.
Okay.
It's oil. He thinks he can set it on fire.
I think Raazu should take it.
Okay.
But if it's
You can have some fun with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brick did just give us tasting rules. Oh.
You do have tasting rules. Or you could use ID it. You've got that too.
so like you would let us just put it on the sword and just to see like what happens when we hit somebody with it.
You'd have to hit somebody with it to figure out what it does, but after that one hit, the oil is consumed.
Yeah.
It's ranch parmesan.
AKA poison.
Oh. That's harsh.
Alright, so this alleyway next? Or are we done talking with Nora?
Yeah, he seems like I don't know.
Raazu returns and says, returns to where Norin is and says, "Well, we found the cache that your friend disposed of."
And as you step, he stands up and looks at you kind of surprised. And he says, "I'm delighted to find company in these tunnels."
Well, fortunately, we've got places to be, and seeing as if you can't come with us, unfortunately.
And when
Here
Birdie
you'll
comes around the
remain.
corner behind you, he says, "Is it safe to be bringing your daughter with you?"
Does Norm
What?
look like an owl?
He does not.
Okay.
One,
I
he is not my daughter, and there is no number 2.
I poke Raazu and ask him and tell him to ask about the oil. Ask him what the oil does.
Right, this is gonna
Raazu-
be a while.
Raazu pulls the flask out of the out of her pack and says, "You remember this oil? Do you remember what it does?"
He looks surprised to see it. He says, That's my lover's flask. That belongs to
Yeah.
Dylan." And he tells you when the oil is applied to a bladed weapon, it is as though the weapon strikes with the force of the gods. Essentially, it will deal damage as per the Inflict Wounds spell, except it deals radiant damage instead of necrotic.
Okay.
So you put that on your weapon, you could put extra stank on it.
There could be a lot of stank on that, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of stank on that. Raazu nods and says, "Well, thank you, Dylan. Hopefully, with what we're about to face, that it helps you find rest."
Did you intend to get his name wrong? Because this is Norin you're talking to.
Norin, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I did not intend that. Raazu comes back to the group, looks across each of you in turn, and then says, "Okay, so who got the daggers?"
I apparently have both of them. No one else wanted one.
Daggers. Wendy and Birdie took the bow, or took the arrowheads.
Yeah, we each took 3.
Okay.
I bow to Norin before I leave.
I don't see silver weapons on this character sheet.
No, they're not. They're not on there.
Raazu hands the flask to Adrex and says, "You use this."
Okay. And he uncorks the flask and looks like to drink it.
Oh no!
No.
What?
Perfect!
No, I'm curious.
No. Put this on your weapon. It will harm the undead.
Oh, alright. Okay.
Yeah.
And you apply it to one of your short swords. And the short
So I
sword...
haven't applied it yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
You recork it disappointedly. You really wanted to drink this vial of wet sand.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
There's a
Alright.
passage further this way.
All right.
I didn't want to get out of earshot, so I don't know beyond that.
Step out.
And Wendy turns around quizzically, looking at the side of Red's head.
What?
Nothing.
got the light source over here now. We get any more?
And the passage continues south. As you step into this connecting chamber, you hear the sound of metal scraping across stone, and what sounds like heavy, raspy breathing just out of your eye shot.
Ominous.
Stop there.
Yep.
Actually, I was going to stop you sooner than that, but...
Oh. Passage starts to narrow.
Okay. And as soon as you reach that part, we're going to roll initiative.
Rick, I just thought of this, but if you're going to come up with arrow fletching rules, we might need torch making rules as well.
Nice.
Yeah, probably not a terrible idea.
And maybe tinning rules.
I mean, I'm not going to go super in-depth with them. It's just... Standing in this room, flanked on both sides, are 3 undead humans. This one in the center... Or, I'm sorry, the 2 on the sides show advanced decay. These zombies look like they've been dead for a very long time. The one in the center, however, is a man wearing ancient plate armor that looks very aged and ragged, and is holding in his hand a longsword. And as you're moving towards him, he's scraping it on the ground and breathing with a heavy rasp. Go ahead and roll my initiative. He rolled pretty good. You don't have theta keys to bail you out this time. Man, there's no negative numbers on this chart, unfortunately.
I don't think it matters at this point.
All right, Raazu, you're up first.
Raazu is going to move up to here. Sizes up the shambling man in the center. Smirks and says, "Dylan, I presume."
He's not shambling. He's definitely not a zombie. Like I said, he doesn't look like he's in quite an advanced state of decay, and he's not moving slowly or clumsily like the other 2 are.
Oh, well, regardless, she smirks and says, "Dylan, I presume."
But he gives no indication that he can hear or understand what you're saying. He just has murder in his sunken eyes.
She is going to halberd the fuck out of him.
Okay.
How does a... Fuck, really? How does a 7 do?
Does not do anything.
How about an 11?
11 does not do anything.
Well, that's pooched then. All right.
Wait, how did you get an 11?
He was ashamed, so he did it better.
Yeah. Saving face. The racial trait.
All right, fine. You can see all your allies from there. I will someday. I'm gonna dog you hard on that. You'll like run around a corner or something. Nope, you can't see anybody.
I'm lighting them up real good.
Okay, it's gonna bring us to.
Thank you.
Thank you for using the tongue of my people.
Every time Wendy whistles, I picture that chicken from the Robin Hood Disney movie.
Well,
I'm gonna attack this one
Okay.
with my short sword. That's a 1.
A 1 is not gonna do it.
And then I'm gonna key point dodge.
Key point dodge. Best move in the game.
yep.
Wendy. I have a -1
No.
and a -1.
No.
As Dylan reaches with his longsword, slashes hard down at you. Definitely dodge out of the way. And then he grasps out with one of his mailed gauntlets. And again, you duck underneath his swipe. Adrex.
Let's hurl an axe at Dylan.
Okay.
That's a thing I want to do. Ah, but a 10.
You just hear the axe hit the wall behind him.
Burns.
Anything else?
No,
Okay, Red, you're up.
nothing else.
Move to here. Shoot the less decomposed one.
Okay.
I'll hit an armor class of 10.
What are you firing?
Short bow.
But what kind of arrow?
Just a normal one.
Normal one. Armor class of 10 does nothing. Just plinks off his plate mail.
Cunning action to dash to free up a little more space.
Okay.
So are the zombies wearing plate mail as well?
No, no.
Oh.
They're just wearing kind of ragged looking clothes.
Ah, okay.
To the point where it'd be impossible to tell like what the clothes were. They're so badly rotted away. And even his mail is in really bad shape. Like after this battle, you're not going to want to loot it off his body.
Okay, so I'm gonna move here, and I'm going to shoot this. I'm gonna shoot this one right here with the one on the left with a short bow arrow.
Okay.
Do.